you know what? Let's start this off strong. I think I was wrong about this patch. I think myself and many others were wrong about how hard we reacted to what this patch was on paper. And I still do think that this patch is low-key broken. Don't get it twisted. It is definitely still broken, but in a good way. In a way that actually is almost necessary. Here's the deal. If you've heard myself or many others talk about it for a long time, we've always said that tank kind of needs to be the strongest hero on the battlefield in 5v5. This was taking that idea and implementing it to 11. And there was a lot of good that they did in this patch. One of the big good pieces was the 10% damage reduction. Or sorry, the healing reduction. That alone might have been enough to make tank feel a lot better, but they took it all the way. And I actually have this, I thought I was, you know, if you heard me at the beginning of stream today, I told you I didn't sleep very well last night because I was up till like 6 a.m. I was up till 6 a.m. because my brain was just going a million miles an hour. And I thought about something. Didn't Aaron, in my interview with him, mention that they were trying to figure out how often they should shake up the game? And is it once a year? Is it twice a year? Chat, am I nuts? Or is now 6 months from February? It's July 12th today. 7/12. February's 2/14 is when they changed the whole game up, right? So wouldn't this be the 6-month metric for like a big shakeup for the game? Is it 5? Is it 5 technically? Well, I guess yeah, I guess I'm counting the whole month of February. Like if it was, okay, I understand what you mean. But this is about, it's close. 5 months, 6 months. It is a big shakeup. The DPS passive change is the biggest one, right? Because when you're healing your tank, it doesn't feel like it does anything. Which is why I've noticed that especially support players say Ana feels good. Not all of them, but I've noticed a lot of people, especially in like the masters below or high masters, low GM below, think Ana's really, really good. And it's because you can out heal now damage. With your nade plus your healing on your tank, you actually can save people. You couldn't really do that before if they were getting focused. So there's a little bit more of survivability. And I'm going through the good first, because I want to do the good before I do the bad, because there is a lot of bad. So what also happened with this patch is tank legitimately feels more fun. We gotta be honest. Tank feels more fun after this patch. It does. You have survived more, you have more killing potential, you have more ability to have impact. They did it. They did it. If their goal was to set out to make tank more fun and to make tank more impactful, they accomplished their goal. 100%. Can't deny it. That's about where the good ends, though. But there is good. There is good. Don't get me wrong. But here's the thing. Let's start with the big one. The pain points of tank don't change with this patch at all. So, what do I mean by that? The pain points of tank are things like counter swapping, hard counters, and being the main blame of your teammates. If anything, all of those are actually exasperated. What I mean by that is, let's go through the 3 of them. So the first one, let's talk about being the main blame of your teammates. Everybody knows now in this current moment that the tank is the number 1 star player. And some people have described this patch as a 1v1 with spectators. I think it's a little bit over dramatic, but it's kind of funny because it's kind of, there is some truth to it, and it's kind of funny to say, so I'm gonna roll with it. But with that happening, there's a quote from Jeff in like 2015, 2016 Overwatch, in which the reason they went, and I'm not trying to bring this argument up, we'll talk about this later, the whole reason they originally chose the idea of doing 6 versus 6 players was if it was enough players in the game for you to have impact on the game, but also if you weren't having the best game, it wasn't enough that you would absolutely throw your team's game, right? So like there was this equilibrium of balance where you would have impact and still be able to help your team win, but if you weren't the best player in the lobby, you didn't force you guys to lose. With the current patch, if your tank player is a little bit worse than their tank player, you are boned. And it goes even further if their tank on the opposite team plays the counter swap game. So like, let's say, you know, they walk out on Diva, you walk out on Diva, their tank walks out on Zarya. Some maps like Gibraltar and whatnot, like you're not gonna get away with it, but like on a lot of maps, you'll actually end up winning the 1v1 because Zarya is also juiced up. Now there's a hotfix today, I understand, that could change, but let's roll with the idea. If you know this, and your tank doesn't swap and they're not getting as many kills as their tank, you know, everybody in the lobby know whose fault it is. That's extremely stressful on the tank player. You're gonna get flamed more. And actually, there's probably times where it's not even your fault. Like, the whole lobby's getting diffed, but everyone's still gonna blame the tank because you're the only guy. That doesn't change with this patch. The counter swapping, the thing I was just talking about, also doesn't change with this patch because you will still play the counter swap game. Ramacha's really good. Granted, Ramacha just got a little bit of a nerf, so that could change. But Ramacha was really good, which means Mauga is good into Ramacha. So it was one of the places where Mauga slots in pretty well. Ryan actually felt kind of weak, unless you were playing in Sigma and literally like close range maps, because Zarya was just so much more dominant. But then also, the counter swap game goes even further now, where actually everyone needs to play the counter swap game, not just the tanks, but everyone. So what I've noticed is, if they have a Zarya or a Ryan or someone like that, play Mei. Wall them off constantly, walk up. Your Kaiju wins the 1v1 battle, and all of a sudden, you win the game. If you constantly enable your Kaiju to win every fight, Kaiju being the tank, you will win every game, because once you kill their Kaiju, yours just mops up the rest of the lobby. So basically, the game is evolving around you supporting your Kaiju and killing their Kaiju. And so support actually gets more value out of healing. And very interestingly, I've actually seen and noticed and even heard that a lot of Mercy players are actually damage boosting their tanks now. It's actually more advantageous to pocket the tank than it is everyone else. One, because they take less healing reduction on the 10%, so they actually get more healing. And two, they're actually the raid boss. So enabling your raid boss to do more killing power is actually not a bad idea. So you put those together, and if you're not doing everything you can to slow down their raid boss on the enemy team and enable your raid boss, you're kind of in a bad spot. And if you're playing tank, that gets exasperated, because if you're the Kaiju of your team and you're better than their Kaiju, right? Like you're winning the 1v1, and then all of a sudden their team swaps to a bunch of counters for you, but your team doesn't swap to counters for them or swap to things to work with you, all of a sudden you're getting rolled, and now you're the person who's getting blamed. Remember what I said in the beginning, where if your tank's losing the 1v1s, you're the one who's probably at fault. Not in every case. This is one of those exceptions where it's actually on your teammates to be helping and supporting and countering their Kaiju and supporting you, but not everyone does. But they don't remember this step. They only remember step one, where it's like, oh, my Kaiju monster's losing to their Kaiju monster. It's a tank diff. That means the game's unwinnable. It's all their fault. And that refers back to the first point of blaming your teammates and blaming your other person. Hard counters, which is my third point, kind of a little bit of addressed it there, so I won't go too much further into it. But the whole hard counters thing is kind of annoying, because like, let's say they have a good Pharah and you have no hit scan, we all know you're kind of cooked, right? Diva though is really good now, so you actually can kind of deal with it, which is nice. But things like Mei, things like Ana, if you're playing like Doomfist or Mauga or Ramatra, right? You know, if you're going like Ball or Diva or something like that, and they go like Lucio Kiri, like super hyper mobility, and you can't really chase them down anymore, and your team is still playing like, I don't know, Bap Zen, and is just getting absolutely annihilated by a Tracer's Diva every fight, there's not a whole lot you can do about that, if we're honest. So that's still there. Pharah is still the best DPS in the game, although the Potfetch patch, I think, is going to change that, so I'm going to keep that off to the side. The reason why I was annoyed and I didn't like that patch was because they nerfed Cassidy. Nerfing Cassidy while being the #1 counter to Pharah, well, Pharah's nerf originally was kind of a joke with the conk, made it so Pharah was still the best DPS in the game. Granted, she did get nerfed today, so that point's a little bit moot. Don't know yet. We'll see. That might change. Diva and Zarya are definitely the #1 winners of this patch, although Zarya got nerfed today, so that's probably changes, so probably Diva's your #1. Ramacha also was like your #3, but he also got nerfed. Mauga, listen, hey, I need you to listen. Walk in for a sec. Mauga is not great right now, but that's for a couple reasons. One of the biggest ones being Diva. Diva's so and here's the key. You want to beat a Mauga in your game? I'm going to teach you how to beat Mauga right now. Here's how you play. This is how you play against a Mauga, right? You're playing against their Mauga. This is literally what you do the entire time. Their health gets low. Ha ha! That lasts longer than his whole show, and he dies. That's it. So, You want to beat Mauga? Play Diva. Literally don't use your DM. Wait till the second they pop their E and just hold the entire DM on them. And all of a sudden, they can't play the game. That being said, though, Mauga's still a really terribly designed hero, and I think he's sneaky gonna be good later on. One of those heroes that's like probably not that good right now, and also the stomp change, like the overrun thing is just stupid. Mauga, character needs a whole rework. But, everybody take a breath. Mauga's beatable right now. Still hate playing against the he still sucks to play against, and he's still tanky. But he's not that insane, because other stuff is better. Last points. It does feel like 1v1 spectators, though, in a lot of ways. And it depends on who you pick, because certain heroes win a lot more than others. Like, everyone's going to be begging for a tier list. I need more time. I got to figure out how this patch actually works. If you look at the roster, there's some big winners. Pharah was a big winner. Mei's a pretty big winner. Hans is actually a decent winner. Cass fell off a bunch, but he's still okay. Echo's a big winner. Ashe is still a big winner because Bob got some big buffs. Tracer's still really good. But, like, there's a lot of ones in here that are struggling. Soldier got annihilated. Venture, I don't know if Venture got really annihilated, but I haven't seen, like, any Venture recently. Reaper kind of not doing too hot. Bastion kind of not doing too hot, but it's like, and your metal rank's probably doing decently because they're trying to do as much damage as possible to the tank to try to kill him. Lucio got nerfed and already was kind of starting to struggle a little bit. Bapalari is actually a really good backline together, but Mercy's still struggling. Moira, I don't even see. Zen has potential to be good, but like, because Diva's so good, you just go eat his ass instantly and he can't play the game, so Zen's probably not very good. Kiri did get some pretty decent nerfs. The only reason you play Kiri is just to like try to stay alive versus like really hard dive. Ana's probably the biggest winner of the support category, like for the non-DPS role, because you can actually save your tank with your nade. And also you nade their tank in that like small window where they might need, you know, healing or something like that. You can actually create opportunities, and nanoing your tank, nanoing your kaiju monster is actually extremely valuable. And then on the tank side, like pretty much everyone's winners. Like nobody lost. The only loser I would say on the tank side at all is like, I don't know, maybe Hog, because everyone got like survivability buffs except Hog, who got like a pig pen buff, but Hog didn't really need it anyways, so I don't know. But Ana probably gets the biggest like enabling out of everything. But I don't want to rant on for too long, because the whole point of this was just to basically be like, I think I was wrong about this patch because it feels fun. And I want to have a conversation later. I don't want to have this conversation now, because there's a 6v6 dev blog that's coming down the line. But there's a big elephant in the room. If this is the level of power it takes to make tank feel somewhat fun, we might be cooked. Because this imbalance of power is insanely skewed to the tank player. If this is the level it needs to be at for it to be fun, it might not be the way to go. Because with it being at this high of power level, like I was making in my points earlier, it's basically up to the tank to be that guy every game. Now, granted, someone might say, but in Overwatch 1 flats, tanks determine the game too. That's true, but there was 2 of them, and it also was more off the picks, as opposed to just 1v1 mechanical skill. I'm just saying that this level of power is a little ridiculous, but the fact that it actually feels good for the tank, and it does feel good for some other roles, not all of them, because I think DPS players are the ones that are most upset, is a bit concerning. This level of power is not sustainable long term. It's gonna have to come back down again. And if this is the peak of power, I can confidently say that I don't want to instantly queue up tank every day and play a bunch of games, because even though this is more fun than it's been in a long time, and even though it's a lot more power than it has been in the past, it's still not that great. It's better. It's much better. But it's still not fantastic. And the fact that it's this giga buffed and this kaiju monster level, and to which I know I have this much impact, it's still like a, I know this isn't going to last forever. And I go, uh-oh, that's not good. That being said, I do want to point out really, really quickly that if they do see this, thanks for making big changes and not having any fear, because you got to have a backbone, you got to have a spine in this industry, and they do. And they got to just get up and swing the bat, because the Overwatch community, myself included, is absolutely terrified of big changes, especially to something like tank or support. Big ass changes scare us. We truly are the boomer game. We're literally a bunch of boomers. We're scared of change. We're scared of technology. We're like, oh my God, I want to write on my typewriter. You know, like we all get scared of big numbers and big changes. And even though in the end it feels better, at least for the tank role, and I've played a little bit of the other roles as well, support didn't feel that bad. Support felt okay, actually. DPS is probably the only one I felt, ooh, that I could feel the power get removed a little bit. I don't know if that's just from the DPS passive. I don't know if that's from the tank buffs and the passive combined. I don't know what it is, but I do want to applaud them, and they should keep making big changes like this. And there's also one other small part. Let's keep it a buck. 70% of the Overwatch player base does not get affected by major patches. They have no clue. They just kind of mimic what everyone else says, or they just don't feel it at all. Because they still just queue up and play Ryan, they queue up and play Mercy, they queue up and play Ana. You're gonna see top level players complain about this shit consistently, right? And that's okay. It's okay that they're gonna be, we're kind of a little bit separate in the way we look at things. That is totally fine. And if you're somebody who enjoys Overwatch and you enjoy the way the game is played, keep playing. Have a good time, dude. I'm happy for you. But if you also don't enjoy the way the game is playing, I'm not saying you should give up either, because way too many people, and I'm sick of seeing it, when someone voices their concern or talks about something not being good, they just tell them, oh, take a break, or oh, leave. You. This game's been out for 7 or 8 years. If you play Overwatch, you play this game because you have a passion for it, and you love this game, and you've been here for many years, whether you're new with Overwatch 2, or you were here from Overwatch 1. Stop telling people to get the f*** out and to leave, because this game ain't getting new players. This game either is bringing old players back, or it's players that have been here for a long time that truly love it, whether they're actually spitting truth, or they're a little bit misguided. I'm so sick of it, okay? We're not gonna ever agree. We're not gonna agree. There are gonna be times where I think shit sucks and you think it's great, and there might be time that you think shit sucks and I think it's great. Just stop being such a asshole. We can agree to disagree. Stop telling people to get the fuck out, because I'm tired of seeing my fellow creators feel this way. And I saw a nice tweet from Jake where Jake was talking about how he, you know what? Let's go look at the tweet really quick. We're gonna go look at it. I think this is very important, and I hate to include this in the whole thing I'm talking about, but I think it's important. I want to write up some of my feelings in the state of Overwatch 2, given there's a lot of discussion these days about different directions, about which way the game goes towards. Long read, sorry, but I gotta get this off my chest. I'm enjoying the game these days. I even play it off stream. I'm having a lot of fun, and many heroes seem effective in their current meta in ranked. It feels like I have a lot of good opinions to swap to, and there's no one good strategy dominating the game. The mid-season patches are very new, and of course it's possible that some things will be overtuned and needs a nerf, but this happens every patch, and in recent history the devs have been very responsive when their heroes are drastically out of line. It's frustrating when people's responses is your sentiment is you're a shill. To me, it's a sad claim because I cannot say anything to prove that it's not true. I would think that the fact that it's been frustrating with the game many times and openly discuss it would give people pause, and when they claim that I'm only pretending to enjoy it now, but what can you do? I relate to this a lot because I get both. I get the doomers and the shills. I get both of them. It's great. And the reason you get both, it's a good sign actually if you get both as a creator. It means that you're somebody who actually changes your opinion as things change, which is the whole point of me talking about this right now, is because I feel like last night after sitting there, I was wrong about this patch. I felt like looking at it on papers, oh shit, this is going to be kaiju monsters destroying the game. And it kind of is. Don't get it twisted. Kind of is. But it actually feels good, which is weird. It's weird that I was right about how the game would play, but wrong on the way it would feel. Find kind of insane. It's a very new feeling, to be honest with you. So, anyways, let's finish this off. There's nothing I can to say to convince people my feelings are genuine. I guess the only thing there's a track record of being honest with myself on stream. Been tilted, angry, etc. more times than I can count. And every activity that I've really enjoyed in life has brought out strong emotions in me. For me, that's just part of the deal. Overwatch is high highs and low lows. It's part of the deal and just a team-based game and such an incredible level of strategic depth. When I don't enjoy Overwatch, I take a break and play something else for a while. Inevitably, I get the itch to play again and come back for more. I understand that people are frustrated with the state of the game and want things to be different, but so much discussion on the state of this site and elsewhere online is incredibly hyperbolic and extremely negative to the point where people cannot believe if I have a different viewpoint. So what he's probably referring to there is the 6v6 stuff, if we're honest. When I think of the state of Overwatch 2, I feel balance is actually a lot better place than most of the history of the game. I know my perspective is skewed as a high-level player, but who is comfortable flexing pretty much any hero in the roster. But never before is the flexibility. Yeah, I think Jake's wrong on this part. I disagree with him there, but that's not here nor there. To me, any hero is viable in a vacuum. It's the nature of Overwatch. No, that's not true, Jake. I've literally watched you flame one tricks. That is not true. The goal of making every hero equally viable is impossible and one to fully achieve. Yet looking at the game as a current moment, it seems to me that the dev team is doing a decent job of it, which is true. Just some positivity on the timeline for you Overwatch enjoyers. I'm just a corporate shill mouthpiece for the Overwatch 2 team. That's up to you. But then SK responded with this. Actually, no, I want to do this one. This is the one I read. The replies to this also make me really sad. The way people talk about the game has shifted a lot lately, feeling more and more like politics. Words get blown out of proportion and twisted into something completely different. Now, no matter the opinion, people will get angry. I'll be the first to admit I was guilty of this too until recently. It had me feeling really burnt out on content creation for patch notes, updates, etc. And I was afraid to speak what I feel lately because I hate when people are mad at me. Let's be respectful. So what SK is talking about is, remember when SK made her video about like the whole state of ranked stuff? That popped off and did really well. And so she started talking a little bit more about like patches and stuff like that. And people got like, "Argh!" People got really angry about patch stuff. Trust me, I know from firsthand experience. Point is though, we're all in it for the long haul. Everybody's in this shit together. So, be a little bit nicer. I'm glad this patch feels a little bit better. I think we're gonna need to have a longer conversation come next week or whenever the dev blog comes out about the 6v6 stuff. Because I think this patch kind of set me a little bit of an alarm bell of, uh-oh. I don't know if this level of power is sustainable for tank. I'm just gonna enjoy playing tank when I can a little bit. But I'm also gonna keep it a buck with you. It didn't move the needle enough for me personally to go, I enjoy playing tank right now, let's queue up. I'm still probably gonna go and play some Elden Ring and do other stuff. So, you see me playing Elden Ring, don't be surprised. It's not that I don't think this patch is bad. I actually think this patch low-key kind of is better than people thought, myself included. However, though, it didn't move the needle enough for me to personally have enough fun to sit here and queue up all day long. So I'm going to be doing other stuff probably still. So, yeah. Anyways, hopefully this hotfix patch actually pops off because it looks gas.